And joining me now on the Sports Fix is Alex Forster, one of Naracoorte's favourite sons. He was drafted to Fremantle with their third selection, going at number 29 back in the AFL draft a decade or so ago. Part of Freo's 2013 AFL Grand Final roster, a Premiership player with the Norwood Redlegs in the SANFL, and is now playing amateurs footy for the Pembroke Kings in Adelaide. Forst, it's great to get you on the flow. How are you?
Going well, mate. Thanks. Yeah, great to be on and having a little chat with you.
Awesome stuff. Now, obviously, you played in the AFL, Forst, so talk to us about, with the season around the corner, who your tips are for a top four finish this season.
Yeah, tips for this year. I think Brisbane are going to win the flag. Melbourne will be around the mark again. The Western Bulldogs and Port would be my top four, but I'm going for Brisbane to win the flag in 22.
There we go. He's certainly across it all. Now, we did mention before that you're a Naracoorte boy, and of course, Naracoorte, one of our service areas on Flow. So, whilst you're here on the Sports Fix, tell us about, I guess, when your love for footy began, and I guess, whether you still get up to Naracoorte at all.
Yeah, for sure, mate. I obviously grew up, was born in Naracoorte and spent the first 14 years of my life living there. Footy was sort of part of my life from a very early age. My dad used to coach at Naracoorte, as well as a couple of other clubs in the KNTFL. So he played footy his whole life, and then was coaching as I was growing up. So from sort of 5 or 6 years old, when I started school, I was playing footy and had a footy in my hand, and kicking the footy out the back with Dad. So it was very early on, mate.
Foundation certainly set early on indeed. Now take us back a decade or so ago, Forst, back when obviously the big draft came around. Now it was a very interesting time for you, obviously a real whirlwind of emotions, and it's probably not an easy time too, and a lot of people might gloss over that, but when you've got so many people kind of in your head about the draft and you just basically transferring into a different world overnight into professional footy, must have just been a crazy sort of time for you.
Yeah, it was, mate. Year 12, obviously, as well, on top of it being my draft year. It is difficult to sort of juggle everything that's going on footy-wise, as well as, finishing off your studies at school. So, yeah, it was a crazy time, but a time that I look back on, I learned a lot about myself, and really sort of had to mature and grow up pretty quick at 17, 18 years of age. But it was intense, and sort of lots of stuff going on outside of my schooling, whether it was meeting with different clubs or talking with different people. It was a really busy time, but a very exciting time. I wanted to play AFL for as long as I could remember. So for that to be starting to come true, or looking like it was going to come true, was pretty exciting.
Yeah, and to have ticked that box, I mean, quite literally, very few people will ever be able to say they've done it within all our social circles, so it is a fantastic thing. Take us back to the actual night of the draft and what it kind of meant to you to have that name read out, and then the phone call coming quite soon after. It must have just been an absolutely euphoric moment in your life.
Yeah, it was euphoric. It was a pretty incredible night. I watched the draft just at home with my family. Didn't want to sort of have too many mates over or anything until something did happen. Looking back, I thought I was going to be staying in Adelaide. The Crows had sort of all but said that they would take me at a certain pick. That pick came along. They ended up taking Sam Kerridge, and then Freo were a couple of picks later, and obviously called out my name. And 10 minutes later, the house was packed, and the boys are over, and my girlfriend at the time, and it was an incredible night. And then to follow it up about half an hour later, Lachie getting picked up as well by the same club, and we were both moving to Perth 2 days later. It was pretty special, and the fact that we were both from the Naracoorte-Kaibi region was even more amazing.
Quite the segue there, Alex Forster, and obviously for those that aren't aware, Lachie Neale and you growing up in that region and becoming best friends, and obviously being on the journey together. What was that like then, transferring over to Freo? Because I'm sure you as you just said, you didn't expect to be in Perth, so suddenly it's this completely new lifestyle that you're just tackling with your best friend. So what was that kind of like?
Yeah, it was exciting. Like 18 years of age, I'd actually never been to WA before, so it was a new place, fair distance from home, but having Locke by my side was, it was amazing, and we were able to move over there together and live together with a host family for a year, and then moved into our own place together. So it was pretty special, the fact that we could sort of experience all those different things together, moving over to Perth and immersing ourselves in the AFL environment.
Now, just on Lachie Neale, he's a pretty low-key kind of guy when it comes to him in the public arena. I actually recall back when he kicked his first goal, I saw him out in Hindley Street that very night, and I tried to get around him, but he was just having none of it at all. He's a very sort of private guy. You know him better than anyone, so the fact that he went on to obviously win a Brownlow, did you ever see that kind of going through junior footy with him, and what's he like sort of behind the scenes?
Yeah, very low-key away from footy, Lockie is. He's, very relaxed, a family man now. But as soon as, footy's involved, whether it's training or games, there's a competitive streak that sort of I've known since we were young, and as well as, a really strong talent base and work ethic, been enabled him to be able to, reach the highest of highs in the AFL. But to be honest, no, I'm not surprised that he's done so well, just with how hard he works and how driven he was to make it.
Winning the flag with Norwood in 2014, a club that you're quite close to. What was that like, Alex?
Yeah, incredible. Coming back from Perth was obviously a little bit disappointing after just playing the one game at Fremantle, but coming back to Norwood, I was really excited about joining them again, having played some senior footy in my draft year a few years earlier. They'd just won the last two flags in 12 and 13, so we were having a crack at the three-peat, and was just lucky with the timing of it all. That came back into a really special group of players. We managed to achieve something that was pretty amazing, but winning an SANFL flag with Norwood is right up there with the most amazing feelings I've had in my life so far.
Yeah, fantastic stuff at Adelaide Oval too. Talk to us about Naracoorte again. Now, you told us before that you do go back up there whenever you can. What's the footy landscape like there? Who did you sort of grow up playing for, and who do people sort of get around most? And do you get quite the reception when you go back?
Yeah, it was interesting. I lived in Naracoorte, went to school in Naracoorte, but I actually ended up playing football, which does happen a little bit down there at a place called Kybe Bowlight Tigers. So I played my juniors out there in a pretty strong junior team with Lachie and Jack Trengove, Andrew Bradley, Jack Kelly. So some blokes that have played some SANFL and AFL.
Just a few names.
I ended up playing for Kybe, mainly because Dad was actually coaching the A grade out there at the time. So I'll obviously keep an eye on them and keep in touch with their coach at the moment a little bit. They have a couple of Kybe boys train with us at Pembroke up in the city. So there's a little link there. It looks like Mundalla are sort of the team to beat at the moment, having won the last three flags, but hopefully Kybe can break their drought. It's something ridiculous, 50 odd years they won a flag. So I'll always keep an eye on them, and maybe one day down the track go and have a kick in the southeast again.
There you go, great stuff. And talk to us about what you're up to now. Obviously playing for the Pembroke Kings in the Adelaide Amateurs Footy League. Back in 2021, you kicked 109 goals, as you do. So tell us how that's all going for us.
Yeah, going really well, mate. It's been fantastic going back to where I went to school and playing with a lot of my schoolmates and other Pembroke old scholars. Yeah, I've just loved going back there and enjoying my footy again. We're currently playing in Div 4. We finished top the last 2 years.
Excellent. Alex Forster, the former Fremantle player, also played for Norwood Redlegs and is currently at the Pembroke Kings playing Adelaide amateur footy. Forst, the Naracoorte boy, it's been great getting you on the Sports Fix today. We'll certainly be checking back in with you at some stage quite soon. You take care of yourself, and all the best with the Green Men in the amateurs this season.
Appreciate your time, mate. Thanks very much.
Don't go anywhere. On the other side of this, we'll be chatting to Paul Pearce from the Eyre Peninsula Cricket Association. Stay tuned.